Thank you very much to the Chardikala Foundation and IGS Now for hosting this, and to Inderjit Kaur ji for inviting me. Actually, when Inderjit ji said, well, you just went and spoke in the Bahamas at that international interfaith symposium, why not bring some of your ideas here? My first response was, this is such a knowledgeable group and has spent so much time thinking and doing Vichaar on Gurbani that I felt, that I wasn't, I wouldn't have much to add. But then he said, well, we all have our different perspectives. We come from different life experiences, different kinds of opportunities we've had. And so let's do it. And so I really want this to be a roundtable discussion rather than a talk. And so I have not prepared a talk, and I'm not in lecture mode. So I hope everybody will pitch in. Also, I'm hoping that this will be really at ground level. It's really about living the philosophy, about our daily lives. How do we experience those opportunities and challenges to bring Gurbani into our working life. So that's the focus that I would like today. So I titled this discussion Truthful Living, Enablers and Disablers, because I think that most of us, we want to be truthful. We understand the value of truth and we want to be truthful. But there are so many slippery slopes, throughout the day, throughout the week, and in our interactions. And I think I want to talk a little bit about those kind of things, and how Gurbani and the Sikhi gives us tools that enable us to deal with those disablers, in sort of concrete ways. So I thought I would just share some of my thoughts to warm up, and then just throw it open and hopefully get views and experiences and also Gurbani insights. I'm very grateful to all the attendees here for being here. I look forward to your inputs. As we had just discussed in the first hour, truth is a divine attribute. And in the Mool Mantra itself, we have Satnam. Another attribute is Nirbhav, which is also in the Mool Mantra. And I feel that these two go really hand in hand when it comes to truthful living, because it's those little moments of fear, what we will suffer if we follow a path of truth, or that where the slippery slope comes. We are perhaps unable to challenge somebody who's in a position of power, or we fear that we will be separated, or we have some kind of fear of some kind of consequence that we are not able to stand up to, and that's kind of the slippery slope. So for me, truthful living is a lot about thinking about those attributes of Satnam and Nirbhav together in life. And some of the points that I had put in the email also that I thought would be nice if they came up here was this question from Japji, and I'm sure Jesse, you must have discussed it when you were doing Japji, Kif Sachara Huye. And then in the answer, there is Hukam Rajai Chalna, and we talked about Hukam in the early hour also. But what is this Hukam? What does it mean? How do we conceptualize it in any given moment when there is some kind of challenge or some kind of opportunity? How do we say, well, this is what the Hukam is right now, I should go towards this way or that way? How do we think about it, and what enables us to choose one or the other of the options. So I would like us to think aloud about that a little bit. For me, I think that home is a big slippery slope, and I think we talk about that also. The 5 thieves, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, I see as the great disablers, and the 3 pillars of Naam Jap, Kirit Karo, Vanchako, as the enablers, and fear as a fundamental obstacle. And again, that's why Nirbhav is there as a divine attribute. So I'm hoping that we can touch upon all this. So it was very interesting last week. In the weekly email that comes from UC Berkeley about the news and happenings, there was an email about a student essay competition on truth and truthiness. Truthiness. Yes. And so, of course, it caught my eye because I was just going to come and talk about truthful living here. And so, this is a effort to have undergraduates think about ethical issues in their lives. And there is essay competition, and students write about what these things mean to them in their daily lives, how they have experienced them and all. So actually, you could Google and go on and read these essays from the UC Berkeley site. But the concept of truthiness was really spoke to me. I don't know. We've heard. There's silk fabric, but there's silky fabric. There's velvet and velveteen, right? And satin and sateen and all that. And what is the difference? One is the real, and the other is a fake, right? It just appears to look like silk, but it's not silk fabric. So, without spending the money and all the effort that goes into maintaining a silk fabric, one buys a polyester fabric that looks like silk, and it's silky, and so it's an easy way, Not to denigrate that. I mean, it's fine. It's very practical, and it doesn't cause harm unless environmental harm. I don't know about that right now. I don't want to go there too much. But truthiness is that. It's not really truth. It's our rationalization and conceptualization of some, version of the truth that makes things easy. It's that easy path, and that's what I call the slippery slope of everyday living. And I think, I think all of us experience it. I've experienced it a lot. There are so many situations where there are so many versions, and one can, when one can tell one's mind, this is the one. And so truth versus truthiness is that. And I was thinking about Naam and Naam Japna and these attributes of Satnam and Nirbhav, and why and how could they help us distinguish between truth and truthiness? And again, and I like to sort of refer to these studies on neurology that are being done in academia, because I think more and more they are supporting what faith traditions and Gurbani has been telling us, through the scientific methods. And I think we are people of reason. We like it when there's something that is reasoned out, when it looks reasonable. And in fact, truth is also appealing because it's reasonable often. So studies have shown that our cognitive mechanisms actually get altered, in different situations. And so if we are under Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, why are they disablers? Is because they actually alter our cognitive, abilities. We go into the path of truthiness or just outright falsehood rather than truth. That's why I think that Naam Jap is so important and meditation is so important. It's not, people told me that, I know so, often people tell me, I know so and that person does so much Naam Jap, in the morning, Simran, but then later the person has home and anger and things like that, and then you wonder, they question, what is Naam Jap doing really? And I feel that that's why living the philosophy and talk is so important, because practice is important. If we theoretically do things but never bring it into actual life, we don't practice it. And when we don't practice, it doesn't become easy. Practice makes perfect, practice makes easy. It makes it sahaj, a sahaj avastha, and that's the path of Sikhi, that things become natural. It's your natural way of doing something. That's, when you're faced with an opportunity and a challenge, it's just natural to not fall into Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Ahankar or Home, but to have those enablers of some ajab naam going, ajab jap going on, and of this habit of earning an honest living and sharing, which sort of sharing to me actually is a validation of equality, which is a very, very strong theme in Gurbani, is that all human manas ki jaat sab eke pehchan bo, is about equality. And sharing is that recognition of equality. I don't think it's like a top-down thing that I earn more and let me share. It's that we actually all deserve to have an equal space.
Yeah, I think underlying that is the concept of one with the divine and seeing the divine underlying that concept of sharing and equality. It's not just equality is good, it's an ethic and sharing everything, but it's actually, if you're in touch with Vaheguru and you see Vaheguru in everybody, then that's a natural result. Everybody is divine, you have to treat them with respect and you have to be able to share them. It's good and bad, it's all divine. So it really ties back to the spirituality in a very strong way.
Right. I really like that. And actually, I would also like, and now I would like to open it, and I know, Jesse, you have a question, but I just want to say one thing. Nirvair is also an attribute of Vaheguru in the Mool Mantra. At the same time, there is a concept of Durjan. Sadho man ka maan tyago, Kam, Krodh, Sangat, Durjan ki tate anas pago. So there is a concept of Durjan, there's a concept of Nirvair. And so I think it would be nice to tease out these things, because I think Guru Sahibs taught us love, compassion, forgiveness, but they also taught us that ultimately if these things don't work, that one should recognize the wrong, and there is scope. I think Monji, you have also talked about it in your Vichaar talk, about healthy criticism and about standing up for justice and fairness and all that. So, Jesse, I'm going to let you bring up your point.
I like what you said about practice, right? It's about cultivating good habits is what practice is.
Yeah.
But what I want to emphasize is that practice depends on the practice of Naam. Unequivocal. You cannot say that I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that, and not have your spiritual practice. It's not going to be easy without that. Because when you come into that equipoise that comes from that practice, which is the foundation, which is the root, then it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Our own effort doesn't quite cut it. And that's why no matter what practice we have, whatever it is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it should be solid and consistent and cannot sacrifice that.
Yeah.
It just cannot. Because really that practice leads to the practice of the virtues.
Yes.
Because virtues, otherwise, to answer the question, I used to really worry about that, wonder about that, because so much namjap and all that. But the thing is man ko janam janam ki man lagi. And we cannot really say, oh, this person is doing this now. But look at the amount of layers of dirt.
Yes.
How much naam is needed to wash that off? And how do you know, like Ajamal, in a second, that's all going to be obliterated. And that person is going to rise and shine and soar. And here I'm condemning him or her because he's not living the naam. I don't know. And Anu had at one point in one of our discussions, we have a lot of these, talked about the marathon race and somebody who's ahead and somebody who's behind. And you don't know who's going to just sprint and leave you behind, right?
Absolutely.
So that practice is the foundation of our practice. That was one.
Yeah.
And the second,
Can I actually respond to it before? So I really like the bringing in this concept of Mal from Gurbani, and one of the metaphors that really works for me is also this of calculus, that sort of actually impedes our cognitive thinking, and Nam Jap really clarifies that, and that's what neurologists have shown, that the mental state of people who do meditation, and Nam Jap is that for us, it really clarifies the mind, it quietens it, it makes it calm, it's better able to reason, to see, perceive, and so Nam Jap is really an essential part of clarifying the mind, of removing that mal and the calculus.
And bringing it in a state of equipoise.
Right.
The day you skip your practice, it's a different day.
Yeah, so Sahaj.
Get into that thing.
Yeah.
You just feel it.
Yeah.
Anya tells me this, the day I don't do my 31 minutes, I have a rotten day.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And the second thing,
I think, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to finish Durjan, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we had this discussion in our last workshop here in Vichaar. When I got this mark for the first time, that I remember, I'm like, yes, Babaji Singh, turn away from this person. Not what you're engaging with. And I'm like, wait a minute. These are negative thoughts that I'm having. And so the Durjan, the Sakat, all of those things, they dwell in us as well.
Oh yes.
And the wisdom of the Guru says, do not strengthen them. When you see that Durjanpan coming up in you, or that cynicism, or that Sakat quality, then don't do that sometimes. And yes, it is the other person, but starting out, it is us, right? And all of the work that happens begins within us. I remember one time I'd written an email to a friend of mine criticizing my mother-in-law, whatever, right? I got a one-line email, this was about 10, 15 years ago. This friend of mine said, Jessie, a lot more work has to be done.
Yeah, well, I think that's why that concept of nirvair is very important, because it's not about enmity with people. I think it's about recognition of the virtues and values. Like they say, don't adore a virtue, but don't adore a person. Criticize a vice, but don't criticize a person, or don't have vair with somebody, but actually recognize when we all have strong and weak points, and I think we recognize that in each one of us. And I think when there's been times when somebody has come and said to me, oh, you said that and that didn't sound good, and I felt so grateful, because that person helped me. She was not criticizing me. She just helped me so that next time I would be able to say it in a better way. And I thought that was truthful, and that was also kind, and that it was not truthy, because she could have said it some other way, which was truthiness, not truthfulness. But she just came and said, you said these words, and they didn't come across okay, or they could be, and it's a moment of gratitude. Yes.
I believe this gentleman had to say something.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
This gentleman's name is Jaskar.
Okay, Jaskar.
I like that expression you used, altering the cognitive mechanism. And there's hope for everybody, because the Ajamal situation, that burning bush kind of spiritual experience, is every man's dream. Ever since I think you sit and I don't think that's going to happen to me. Just to leave it as, I don't think that idea also.
Yeah.
So I like to focus on the practice itself. And what you said is very true. That forces me to think a little more about the structure of the practice itself. And are there other components that we need to incorporate? For example, if you look at some other programs out there, let's say, that help you overcome addictions,
Right.
for example. So there'll be a psychological or psychiatric component to it. There'll be a religion, spirituality component, and the medicine. a combination of quality. So maybe there's more to it than just that 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. That it has to do with diet, with reading, with
Holistic.
It's a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
And
That's the starting point.
If you say something more about that.
Very much holistic. Focus a lot on the technique and the word. Why group the word must sit like this and you should focus here and all that. I think the real essence of Nam Simran is that it's combined with Gurbani. Because the concepts come from Gurbani, the whole attitude of what you're doing, how you're going to behave, what the word Vaheguru means to you, comes from all the other aspects of it, of this holistic path of Gurbani, of Kirtan and all that. Then the word Vaheguru has some meaning. Otherwise, it's just an exercise, like any other technique or something or the other. And then it becomes very mechanical and doesn't do anything. And it strengthens the Ahmad. I spent 20 minutes doing meditation on Vaheguru. I feel it's right here. It's something good, It can do more harm than good if you're just doing it by itself.
Right.
The reading Gurbani, which is teaching you how to be humble, recognize God everywhere. You're getting closer to the divine when you're doing it, and it's helping you overcome your ego. It's actually cleansing you. Because all that meaning from Gurbani of what Vaheguru is and how you're relating to him is a part of it.
Right.
Then it's going to be Nam Simran. Otherwise, it's just it's parroting.
Right. Please, and please feel free to introduce yourself by your name because everybody doesn't know each other. So.
My name is Anu. And I was going to say that there are two kind of thinking. Most of the things that we can put them, it's either fear-based or love-based. And in part of just doing even understanding, like say, even Sukhna, for me, a book that has helped me a lot, and I recommend it even though it's not a religious book. It's called The Shadow Effect, and there is a Hindi song from a filmy movie that I had it for the longest time 2 years back on my cell phone. That song, that Tujh Mein Rab Dikhta Hai. The reason is this, that every time the phone rang, whether it's an in-law or an adversary, or you in your imagination, when you pick up the phone and everybody has the rub in them. So the way if I am calm, if I am gentle, and I want the best in them, I want this call, this deal, this conversation to be as fulfilling for them as it is for me. I don't want to take advantage of anybody. I want it to be a fruitful thing for them as much as it is for me. The entire equation changes. There is no point, and when we see darkness in somebody else or lightness in somebody else, it is a reflection of us. It is not a reflection of that person, really. When we do kisi ki ninda, and when there is a charge about somebody, either we adore them or we really get irritated or resentful of somebody, it shows us the kind of work we have to do in ourselves.
Very true.
That
that is very nice. And I saw
that's the practice that you mentioned. Constant practice
of the virtue. Yeah.
Constant awareness of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think in the Jagmohanji, sorry.
I was just going to say the book's name is Shadow Effect, and 3 authors have collaborated in it. Chopra, David Ford and Marianne Williamson. And it's a little book, but it kind of removes all this thing, all the people that have ever irritated me in my life. I had made a list, and if I was really honest and thought about the things that irritated them, either a few years back I had those habits, or I still had little part of it in the corner. When you clean a utensil and the corners are still not clean, that part was
I love that metaphor.
that part was definitely there. So I feel like that's why they say that when you matha teko Babaji, other than Paramatma, there is nowhere else to bow your head to. So there is no reason to make anybody into a rock star. Somebody is a great artist, somebody is a great talent, somebody is very successful. You can learn qualities from everybody. But the second we think, and you know this, that there is no superior complex, all complexes are inferior. So that's why we are never better than anybody or worse than anybody.
Yes.
So this book has sort of brought the spiritual practice to forefront, and I'm very cognizant of when I meet people, am I looking in their eyes? Am I fully present into what they are saying? Or am I ready to answer before I have heard what they have said? Many times we are not listening.
Yes.
We're so ready to answer before they have even finished what they have to say.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I think we're going to hear.
Yeah, I just want to add up that what she said. Yeah, my name is Jagmohan.
No one knows
She said beautifully that whatever we feel, we see the other person. Gurbani says, "Eman jaisa, parman jaisa." So whatever your mind is, and you see the other person is. Yeah. And just as he said that, Janam janam ki is man ko man lagi kala huasya. Instead of really putting our thoughts, we can ask Guru Amar Das ji who said that, how we can get rid of that. The next lines he describes that. This shabad from Guru Amar Das. What it says, Janam janam ki is man ko man lagi kala huasya. What it means, from many ages, this mind has accumulated through the vices, Kankrodho, Mohankar, it has built up dust on its mother. Okay. Janam janam ki. So it could be this life or from previous life. Panich kai jagah te aanda, many places it comes in. We have been dog, so we carry the dog nature also. So like that, we are carrying those. Janam janam ki is man ko mal lagi. Because Sukhmani Sahib also, so you talk about Sukhmani Sahib says, Kartoot, Pasuki, Manascha, we look like a human being, but our nature is just like a dog. Okay? So, let me finish on this. What Guru Amar Das ji said. So, that's where I'm coming to. Because instead of putting our thoughts, we can ask Guru Sahib. Because he has already given the answer. And this is the way it can be done. They say, Khanli toti ujli na hoye, jeso to one part. What does it mean? There is, when you extract oil from the mustard seeds, so in that machine, a man has a piece of cloth, and he uses that to clean it whenever he needs to. And that piece of cloth becomes so dirty, even you put it in the washer, do whatever, it cannot be clean. So Guru Amar Das is giving example, our mind is just like that. That has become so dirty, you cannot clean it anymore. Khanli is called that dirty cloth. Toti means if you wash it. Toti ujli means you will not clean it. Khanli toti ujli na hoy, J salt to one part. So it means 100 times you should wash it. It means if my mind is dirty, it's not going to clean with my own efforts. It will clean when the things are under my control. But if somebody puts me on the hot plate, I will start fighting. Right? But Guru Arjan Dev Ji showed us, even if somebody puts me on the hot plate, I can still, my heart is clean. And I can still see God in the person who is pouring the hot sand. Khanli toti ujli na hove, jeso to. So now he gives the answer after that. So what should we do? Because Guru Sahib, whenever he tells the Bani, he poses the problem, he also gives a solution also. It's a very small shabad, 4 lines, 2 lines are the problem, next line. Gur prasadi jivat mare, ulti hoye mat badla. Gur prasad. So we talk about Nirvaya, Nirbhav, but again Gur prasad. We have to remain that only with his mercy, Gur prasadi jivat mare. What does it mean, jivat mare? I have no idea. Guru kar karman more, Guru bina main nahi hor. My thoughts are not going to get me anywhere, but Guru's thoughts are going to take me everywhere. Yeah. Guru Prasadi Jivat Mare, you have eliminated my entity, my thoughts. But what I found, my thoughts could be like $1, but Guru's thoughts are like $1 billion. Guru Prasadi Jivat Mare, I have removed my own thoughts. Guru Prasadi Jivat Mare, ulti ho gaye, mat badla. Your mind is going to change, and it will go in that positive direction. Guru Prasadi Jivat Mare, ulti ho mat badla. So, फिर उस वक्त ना फिर मैं लगा, उस तो बाद में मैं लगने नहीं बैठ जाता. और गुरु नानक जी एक जगह तो और गुरु नानक जी ने दसिया, he said that there is good and bad in every person. But we cannot see the goodness in the person till we come in contact with Guru or Simran. Simran is just again knowing what is Guru Shabad says. Vin Satgur Gunanam Japani Jitchar Shabad na kare vichar. So Gun Avgun Parpur hai. Every person is full of good things and the bad things. But we focus on the badness on the other person and goodness on our person. So Gurbani tells you entirely different. Ulti hove mat badla, the mind changes. So kehte ne avguni parpur hai, gun bhi vase na. This is Dakhni Omkar. So ude daste pehne avguni parpur hai. Avgun means all the vices. Every person is full of vices. But gun bhi vase na. The guns are good qualities are also in that person. But we cannot focus on the goodness on the person. Vin gun without Guru's guidance. Odi matlete Guru Prasadi Jivat Mare. Jab tak asi Guru di shabad nahi laange, Vin gun Vin gur shabad gun na japani. Japani means you cannot see the goodness in the other person. Jitcha as till you do shabad vichar, unless you understand what hai gaya कि जन्म जन्म के सुमन को माल लागी काला हुआ स्वा. How do you clean it? तब तक किसी गुरु को बर्दाश्त नहीं.
So how does one deal with a very important point that you had brought up, that yes, you have to you have to be kind and compassionate and loving and all that, but there comes a point when you have to stand up and stand up for justice and really tell truth to power, right? How if you can just explain that, where does that come from? No, Nirbhavta, right? And then further on Durjan, like who, what? Can you call someone a Durjan? No.
Gurbani, what Gurbani says, I'll tell you what Gurbani says. There is no person Durjan. There is no Sakat. Gurbani says that.
It's your thoughts, your own.
No. Yeah. See, I give you example of this. Vichaar. That probably everybody heard of Vichaar. He is feeding water to the animals. So people complained to Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Singh called him and he said that you are feeding these animals. You are going opposite direction. He says, no, I'm not going opposite direction. I'm doing the same thing. What you learn? He says, how are you doing the same thing? We are killing these enemies and you are feeding them and standing them up and they are fighting against the enemy. He says, I'm doing the same thing. I said, how? He said, you are killing the enemy and I'm killing the enmity.
Right, but the word enemy has been used.
Yeah, no, but only those persons who were not of the Vaikanaya's level.
Right.
They were calling them enemy.
Right.
But Vaikanaya ji is saying, so Sakat is the thoughts of the person and those can be changed. Ulti hoye mat badala. So, jehdi odi Sakat di birti hai.
Oh, bilkul. It is to do, right.
So that has to be changed and that cannot be changed with my own effort. Only Guru can change it. What is Guru? Guru, Bani, Guru hai Bani, which is Bani Amritsar. So Guru की है शब्द देना. शब्द जब अंदर चलेगा, जिस वेले वो चीज आए क्योंकि this you need to understand मन what is मन काया कजली बन भया मन कुंचर में मंद अंकुश ज्ञान रतन है केवट बिरला सर my mind am I going too much
No, but after you finish this one, we'll move on to another. Thank you.
काया कजली बन our body is like is a field of a banana orchard. Banana is very soft fruit. So body is like a Kabir Das ji gave example. The body is like an orchard of banana field. And what is man? Man is like an elephant. Puncha. And not only elephant, my means he has been intoxicated with pride, ego. मैं को जगह. Okay. Now what happens? This elephant, when he walks in this banana field, he's going to hurt all the fruit. What is the fruit? All our good qualities. वो सारी बातें देनी है क्या? उन्होंने hurt कर. But now he has been intoxicated. I'm somebody, so there is no chance of that any of the good qualities will be left out there. काया कजली बन भया मन कुंचर में मंद अंकुश ज्ञान रतन है केवट बिरला सन. So you need to put how do you make elephant run? Walk in the right direction with the ankush. There's a piece of, and that, what is that? Ankush Gyan Ratan hai, Kevat Virla Sangha. So we have to practice is that whenever some who is talking out of control, Shabad, Ruda Shabad that can control it. That's the only way. Because only the such truth can live forever. And we need to understand too, this is a game what we have.
Then how do you stand up for truth and justice? When somebody has been wronged, when a friend has been wronged, right? It hurts you. And how do you stand up? It's a very real life.
We don't have to give the example. I can give you the example. We just came through Jar Sahib Dishi. That's the example. That's the way you stand up on the truth.
I think the Guru showed us that when something is wrong, we do have to stand up.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a duty to do that. And standing up for truth is part of the part of honesty, truthfulness. But as somebody said here, it's going against the vice, but not the individual. Without any
Malice.
Right.
That everybody is, it's all part of God's creation.
Right.
But we are here to to also have our discrimination between right and wrong. That's an important part.
So do you avoid those people?
No.
You don't avoid them.
You don't know.
I have a question for my own kids, okay? One second. I'm just because she said avoid the questions. For my son, he doesn't have any friends. Anybody who starts cursing, he will just not talk to that person. So my son has now only 2 friends, and I was telling him, like, you need to have more friends. He said, Mom, you really want me to friend somebody who's cursing? And says mother or whatever, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, nothing. And now my daughter, also for my daughter, she's looking for an apartment in San Francisco. She's doing a job, and so there are 2 Indian girls who want to, and then there's 1 American girl. So obviously I said, why don't you work with Indian girls? She says, Mom, they party too hard. I can't party like that. They party till 3 o'clock in the morning. They go to bars and all. I can't do that. I get tired. I have to sleep at 11. So what do I tell her now?
Yeah. So I'd like
I don't ask them.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm here
Yeah.
to invite my kids and to learn something from you.
Right.
And my kids.
No, thank you very much for that, because I really, was hoping that this discussion would be really at ground level, and because and I think we are here. We all love Gurbani. We understand it's Naam and Gurbani. Shabad is the most important. We need to understand, bring it into our life, and that's very, very valuable, and one cannot sort of devalue that at all. While recognizing that, I think in this discussion we want to kind of come to that ground level, as the kind of question you raised. And I think for me this is also an issue I grapple with all the time, that how to deal with people where you feel your ethical values are not the same. And one of the things I feel is that, at least initially, conversation is very important, And so if somebody is cursing, for example, to at least initially begin with a conversation with that person that, if you didn't curse, that would be so awesome and we could actually enjoy time together. And it's actually the cursing that's getting in the way of our relationship. But hey, you know poetry so well, or you know so much about movies, and I love movies too. But if you could stop cursing, that would be awesome, So I feel that for me, my first effort is a conversation, a dialogue where, try to say, well, what is the obstacle that's coming in the way, and then try to get over it. And I think for me, the challenges are when those conversations don't go anywhere, or they doesn't happen, then what to do. Those are some of my challenges. So, but I would really like to open this up more, and would you like to?
I think different parts of it. I think you being as a mother, probably have an instinct that tells you what is the right answer anyway. Before even you come to the class, I would think that the foundation that you stand on, that would be a true answer to begin with. You can share the answer with everybody if you like, because you will be telling the daughter the right thing, but you know the right principle. At the same time, once a daughter has a strong foundation, she knows that there could be fire all around her, all her life. It doesn't matter. She knows what she has to do. If she needs to sleep at 11, 10, or 9, she needs to get the peace, friends or no friends, because when other people see that she has a strong foundation, they should become like her. She doesn't need to become like the others. So that would be a good change there. On your other part, the starting foundation for the Naam and the Nirbhav Nirvan, I think part of the stuff is you start trying to come to meticulous and try to understand too much deeply. What Babaji is just saying is just take the Naam, leave everything to him. My understanding is that slowly with time, those virtues he delivers. That's up to him, because none of us have control over that. So just like Babaji told the other guy long time ago, shake the tree and the time will come. So don't try to be too smart about it. Judges will not tell you anything.
Yes.
Judges will never tell you anything.
Right.
Just request and beg and say, help me put your thoughts in my thoughts. Therefore, eliminate my thoughts away. So that it's only your thoughts that we work with.
Right.
So when you start along that principle, and things slowly will go the path that it needs to go.
Right. I really like that, because I think maybe we can talk a little more about hukam now, since the word control has come up, because I think when we try to control everything our way, we think that, this is the right way and this is the way it has to be. I think things like home come in issues of control, and also how we conceptualize hukam. And that was also something I wanted to bring up, that often truth becomes truthiness because we sort of forget that, at least to my mind, that in this sort of realm of hukam, there is dukh, which will be there. Things will not always be rosy. And when we feel that whenever that if we face something where there is a discomfort or sadness or pain, that if we follow the path which makes us happy, so to say, then that's an inclination. But that's when we move from truth to truthiness. And so I would like to open up the discussion to issues of control and home and hukam, and if we face issues where there's a choice, how do we understand hukam? Do we say, well, no, today I think it's okay, I think I have to be sad because this is the experience that has come my way, but I will not, for the sake of running away from that pain or sadness, take a path which is not the path of truth. So maybe some thoughts about that, if they are generated, especially from those of you who haven't shared some thoughts. Yes.
One of the examples when we live.
Yes.
And then the biggest thing is the guy who is in marketing, sales,
Yeah.
He is going to pitch his product because
Yeah.
it's goal, earn
Yeah.
money for the company, or
Yes.
stuff, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all the decisions person takes is to sell the product. Lot of lies, lot of stuff against the other product.
Right.
People will tell my product is bad, why?
Right.
So when you say truth, nobody tells the truth. We live in the world where truth is not the way to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Where do you go? You can't do it.
Right.
Nobody can do sales and marketing in this world.
I hope there are no sales and marketing people here today.
Only yesterday I had a meeting with some gentleman who was trying to position his technology for automotive industry. The decision between the truth and how much you want to shift is very critical, because his inventions was with previous company who sold it to Chrysler, big guys, and now his new company wants to sell it. I said the thing is that you cannot say that your company has sold it. You have to be very clear about it and truthful about it, that you can make it, you have made it before, your previous company made it, but you presently have not sold it. So the decision between the wording become very, you're 100% right, very critical. I say you make a false statement, tomorrow the ZF of Germany will come after you saying, let me see your patent and IPs.
One is the legal part.
No, and what's the legal part?
Legal part is different.
Ethical moral value.
Just trying that you know that this product does not do this, but you're selling it.
Oh, that's completely
Yeah.
wrong.
You can
Yeah.
say, but it's done in the whole
Yeah.
life, everywhere,
I-
time after time.
Yes, Nirvikar has his hand up, so
It happens only in sales and marketing. It happens
Everywhere.
everywhere.
I say sales and marketing, but that is
As an example,
obvious.
yeah.
Definitely every project
But does it
is
make good
competing against every
business
other
sense?
one.
No, it does.
Yeah, may I please moderate a little bit, and Nirvikar's hand is up.
Somewhere in the movie organized that conference at Vanasat, and
I was there.
he asked me to speak on economics and stuff. And what struck me in reading that Gurbani is that I think Gurbani is pretty clear.
That is very clear.
Again, what matters is now that living a principled life. So if it is a trade-off between telling a lie to sell something and telling the truth, then Gurbani gives very clear guidance, I think, that of what is real, what is of real value is truth and naam. And I understand what you're saying, because I think I hear a lot of this from my colleagues in the university who are not economists. They say, you guys are kind of corrupting the kids, that's why they're overdoing. And I think after the Wall Street crash, a lot of there's a lot of societal questioning about the ethics of business. So I know this sounds very kind of maybe utopian and idealistic, but I think you said that, yes, this is the world we live in, where we have to compromise our principles with respect to truth. But maybe that's something we have to at least recognize and see collectively over time if we can change that.
And I also feel that
Just raising that as
No,
a
this
Yeah.
is for a company. The company is creating a product to kill the competition, and they clearly say we want to kill them.
yeah,
So very, very common in this area, competition.
yeah.
Is competition healthy? By hook or by crook, company does it, and they create a product. Yeah, they try to create the best of the best product.
There's no crook, there's nothing unethical about trying to destroy the
Yeah,
product.
but they do it. I think
You're honest about
the CEO will give you a focus. Go kill the competition. We need to do this. This is how to succeed.
But if you do that with a better product and are able to convey that truthfully, then that's all right. But
In
you lie.
Intel philosophy, paranoid survives, the employees are paranoid, all those kind of stuff. These are all
Yeah.
methodology of managing and
Right.
being successful. Ultimately, you
But
want
not
to be
all
the
of those,
top.
I think, are consistent with the message of Gurbani.
Right.
Gurbani
Yeah.
tells you this,
Yes.
but you are working for a company, you stuck with this, you still needs to be faithful with your
So
company.
again,
Where do you draw the line?
It's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very good example, I think, of those moments where it's really a difficult choice. And here the fear is the fear of losing livelihood. You know, it is fear. But the fear is, you know, it's a legitimate thing. You know, how do I provide for my family if I don't have a job? Yeah.
Yes. That is unethical.
And then,
Everything
Yes.
right. I'm not saying India
Yeah.
versus here,
More subtle aspects of it.
but this is
Yes.
practicality of living
Yes.
in a world where money has a value.
and we had a hand up here. Thank you for that very nice example. Yes.
Something a little bit based on you are not perfect. I mean, everybody is, nobody is. So you understand you're not perfect. In extending, so you feel there is an aspect of some of these things that's a little bit more in others where you want to help. You talk about, you know, a conversation, but these things practically are not that easy.
Right.
Because there are people who will, I'm not in any way claiming I know anything about this. So what I'm saying, in a practical manner in a relationship, then how do you help people see that the answer is there, but they're not seeing it for, like, how can you help people in those? Because because I don't think you have the means, and sometimes they are learned. There is people doing, you know, the right kind of things that, you know, people will go to the Gurudwara, they will do the part, but you see, you can sense a little bit, but I don't.
It's very humbling. Whether it's your child or your partner or your loved one, you can know something, but that's the thing. Babaji has said, you can know something, but you cannot impart it if they are ready in their experience to receive it.
Yeah, and plus you're not in a position to say that, you know, I know more, so I'm trying to influence. You cannot
It's
do
not
that.
even position. Somebody very learned even at a certain age would have come to me and said certain life lessons. I wasn't ready for it. So I would just say, blah, 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 whatever. They've read a couple of things and it's their age, so then, but when you've fallen enough times, when it is my time, then I would learn from a stranger, then I can come to a class.
It has to be the right time.
When it's and also that thing that I can sit in prayer. It is so difficult even to think about your child and to really put attention and prayer on that kid for 5 minutes. I feel like that is one of the most powerful lessons that I have recently learned. I rather pray for that person even for half a minute or for a minute if I really then want to talk to them for 2 hours and impart some kind of gyan to them.
Right. It's the energy that you want to send.
And that vibration, you will just see that. You also learn, you can talk till you're blue in the face. If somebody's time has not come, they are not going to get that. And what you were mentioning, there are always things happening in life, in businesses and stuff like that. It is not you have to be, either it's Babaji's path or it's a work path. The answer is, even if we are selling a product, even if we are in marketing, the company CEO can say, kill the competition to the best of your knowledge as your truth goes about this product, as honorably as you can, focus on that product and speak your truth. And that is enough. Because many times we think, because it's a fear-based, everything is love-based or fear-based. When Jaskaran had said that, when even this thing of karma, when people will say the fear-based thing is when we say कि अच्छा पिछले जन्म में कुछ बुरे काम करे होंगे, that's why life is so difficult, this. That's a fear-based thing. The love-based thing is Babaji has given us enough lifetimes. There's a bachche, till the time you realize I am present with you at every second. You don't have to worry about your roti and your kid's marriage and your 10th diamond set and the 50th party. But today you have everything. This is the best possible thing for you at this second. If we believe that and if we live that in this second, then Babaji has given us all the time until we are ready to learn this. So there is so much of love and compassion. So even karma, I always think every thought that makes me feel uptight or somebody, I'm like, is it fear-based or is it love-based? And it gives me that space. And that story we all know, that monkey in Vietnam or whatever, in a coconut shell with the rice. Every time we contract about something, it gets tight, and and every time we expand, hath khol ke, many times. Like anytime I feel like I'm feeling tense about something, I'm like, I'm going to be like this. Even Palipuri's part, I'll do it with the hands open like that. Let me remember, it is an expansion. There is all the time in the world to learn. And if this lifetime is short, then there are thousands and thousands of lifetimes. So, it's okay.
Thanks, Anu. So I would, I know Alka came here with, very specific thoughts. So I would like to address that issue of friendship also. But Inderjit, I just want to say that when just 5 minutes before you want to wrap it up, because I think it's past noon, just let me know and I'll just
It looks like the group here is willing to stay, so as long as you're willing to stay and you want to talk,
okay, so whenever somebody feels that in 5 minutes this should end, please let us know, and I'll try to just wrap up our thoughts. So I had this issue of friendship and how many friends we have. We are in this day where you have like thousands of friends, right? Facebook friends and LinkedIn links and, this social media stuff. But they're really not friends. And I think in life one needs from that point of view, I think one really cannot have too many friends in the true sense of the word. And of course, if Guru is our friend and with us, I think that empowers us so much, Bani and Guru's words, or whatever, ethical, the spiritual path, and that's the best friendship that gives us strength. And I feel this from my personal life. One actually does not need so many people. Not that they are not good or bad, but it's just quality versus quantity. So I think I would not be very afraid for my children if they didn't have many friends, or if they didn't want to go to parties or were not invited to certain parties. I think children are so strong. Our youth are so strong, and they will find like company, and I think the ethical values. When we are young, our ethical values are so strong. I feel, in fact, that we teach our children to be more truthy than truthful. And
she raised good kids.
Yeah.
They're standing up.
Yeah. So you should be very proud of it. So.
Sorry to interrupt. My only thing to say was, even this brings fear and separation when one says, why not have Indian roommates versus a white? I would say anybody that is like-minded is wonderful. So if it's whites, if it's Hispanic, whoever it is, and if it is no, so the culture will stay the same, or that they will. No, if like Paul was saying, if the roots are strong, it's all good. And if they find more like-minded people, which may not be Indians or of that origin, it's perfectly fine. Just when you make the decision, and the kids are making decision based out of really compassion and love in their life, even in friendships, you just see that they are in a very good space. And also, I think there is a time to be self-righteous. It is okay, but when we become judgmental, it brings an issue. So there's a difference. Yes, if the kids curse, may not be, but they could have other 50 good qualities. And culturally, sometimes somebody can use a foul word but not mean much, and others may not use ever a foul word, but they could be pretty negative people also. So just to keep that in mind.
Another answer to it, my son went through the same thing. Roommate always did. It never bothered. He said, you come whatever time you want to come, you do whatever you want to do, leave me alone. They lived. After 1 year of dorm, He moved to his own apartment. He's busy. He does not do art or anything. He's with his video game. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And he's okay. And
Yeah.
he never fought with any of his roommate.
I
He
think
didn't like him. He said clearly to us, I don't appreciate what he does.
I think it's the values which I think you touched on, the foundation. If it's there, if the core values they believe in, these are the startup. Instead of a water fountain, they have a beer thing. He's the only person in the company there's a joke, right? But he believes in that. So
Yes, just Karan.
So the question of how to kill the competition.
All right.
With a smile.
Yeah.
After what
Yes.
said to Arjun.
Yes. Right.
And another thing that comes to mind is this Chinese king went for advice to the Zen master, who happened to be a butcher. And he talked about how when he's cutting up ox, earlier on he used to have to hack through the bones and this and that. It's a beautiful 2-paragraph description, how he now finds all the soft spots in the sinews, and it's effortless, and how he hasn't had to sharpen his knife for the last 2 years. Something to that effect. I don't know, there might be something.
Actually, I think, I've also over time found very valuable insights from different faith traditions. And of course, for me, Gurbani speaks the closest. It's like your mother's words. They always have an emotional content and a very strong psychological and cognitive component. So for me, Gurbani is the strongest, having been born and raised in a Sikh family and by a mother who was very strong, principled Sikh. But from other faith traditions too, one gets those messages, and these stories and examples are really very, very valuable. So, would somebody else like to bring up a point? Otherwise, yes. Yes.
Like, he never describes hukam. He always says hukam is right.
Right.
What is hukam like?
Right.
He says, okay, rivers of fire are cruelty, anger, greed, they are able to fight it.
Right.
But he doesn't really tell us what. So I was telling her that hukam is really, I think, rules of nature. I don't know. I mean, if that is a good explanation or not. I said, like, God has created nature, and there are set rules, and you really have to, if you drink, your brain is not going to think. So you basically have to. And he said, why doesn't he define it? And I don't know if my explanation is wrong or not, but I just said, like, it's for you to figure it out. You have to observe other people, observe the nature, and figure it out. I don't know. Do you have a better answer?
Please.
During one of the sessions a couple of months back, somebody drew a diagram, concentric circles.
Where is the diagram person?
That must be you. Self-will in the center, and sanskars and karmas after that, and hukam. Oh, right? Was it you? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Okay. Well, we did some stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what it was. Self-will, right in the center.
But there
Yeah.
are physical laws, the laws of nature.
You done.
Oh.
That was a different one. Yeah.
So,
We talked about the deeds, right? The past deeds and the future deeds. I think that was the other one we talked about. And they hook all them. But then Babaji also says, Hukam Rajai Chalna, Nanak Likha and all. So that means like every human being has the same unwritten book. The Hukam, the way I see it, is unwritten book that's common to all mankind. If you read that Hukam, unwritten book, that's the ultimate. The only thing is, how do you read it? And that's what Babaji is trying to teach us.
Recognizing God's will working everywhere and accepting it, and recognizing the divine in everything and everybody, and also surrender is a part of it. Because the numbers before the surrender, so not overcoming ego by saying it's all I do. I think that's the third one, because you're saying God sends His message. He sends His book in many different ways. You can find it within each of us, but it comes to us through the divine. So that is a very important part of it. Just by God's voice, so it's telling us about what's important from the divine point of view. So it's part of hukam. That's one dimension.
For example,
we don't normally address that dimension. We talk about will and sometimes when people talk about hukam or raza, they only think, oh, if something bad happens, then we accept it as God's will. But everything good is God's will too.
Absolutely.
You only think of it, as if I give up everything else, I can't help, I'm really stuck, I tried my best, then we say, okay, it'll be God's will. That's how Christians about it. That's not what it's about. It's part of it, accepting God's will, but recognizing it everywhere, not just in bad things, but good and bad things. It gives us, it's in His hukam that we get to walk on this ethical path you're talking about. It is through His hukam that we get to do good things for others. That's also part of His hukam, it's working through us. So recognizing the hukam working through us and flowing with it is yet another dimension, I think.
There are hukams sprinkled all over by lots and lots of hukams. Whatever I saw, forgiveness, Daya Shamatantri, all these are hukams that do these things. Lots of pointers, they're sprinkled all over. We just have to be cognizant. Oh, this is the hukam, this is the law.
So
whatever I saw, I should read. There are physical laws, laws of nature, hukams, Gurbani's pointers, all these things. Gurbani, the hukams in Gurbani are all there.
I also feel to be still, to get all the noise out, TV, to media, to even sometimes reading the text, the scriptures, just to be away from it all, even to go for a walk without any music. We very rarely in our life are really quiet and alone, and it is, especially for our kids, lost art. For them to not be doing something from cars to the TV, like it's just so nobody is really alone. People think they're lonely, but you can be around millions of people and be very, very lonely, because that space of creating that little time for yourself is really amazing.
Just meditation,
so,
you and your God.
And just even few minutes alone, and I think the children will know what needs to be done, because like Paul was saying, that inner voice is
very, absolutely, the inner
very
voice
powerful.
Well, we silence it.
And to hear the inner voice, I think Naam Jap is very important to clarify the mind, to silence it, to have the real, the inner voice speak up. I think, from my personal experience, I can say that the nights when I go to sleep with Vaheguru, Satnam singing in my head quietly, I'm not singing it aloud. Sometimes I do, and I feel when one is more disturbed, one needs that outer sound more, And the nights I sleep with that just going in my mind, I have more peaceful dreams. And when I wake up, that same jap is going on. I wake up and the first thing that is Vaheguru Satnam, in my cognition. And even in moments of challenge, I feel when I just do that it opens up my mind to think in a way that I feel is Hukam Razai Chalna, It's about that making those choices, and what enables us to make that choice is to clarify our mind. And a big power that we have from Gurbani to clarify our mind is Naam Japna, and to bring it into practice, to then, not say, okay, I did 20 minutes of Naam Jap, now I'm done, but to actually, in every moment practice it. They go so hand in hand.
Lance Armstrong is a very good example, very recent example of silencing the inner voice. He clearly said that he never felt any wrong. He didn't think he was cheating anyone. And he just silenced it.
Hats off to him again. Actually, it's too easy to judge him in my mind. I don't know anything about the man, but just that the fact that he survived what he did, and that he was instrumental in helping so many other people through his foundation now, and all the excellent great work that they're doing. And to do that, if he needed to succeed at this level,
But to hurt other people,
Just
to go after
it is like any big tragedy or any big comedy. We have to rise to that level to fall down. All our own personal failures and successes, people sitting on this table, we all have our own places where we might have failed, and where we have been less than perfect. But our stories are not out there because they were not as grandiose as Lance. It's a lesson for all of us.
Absolutely.
It's not his fault in a way. When we, again, I was saying,
we made a hero out of him.
No. Again, it's that shadow, right?
Yeah.
To see him as better than us, and now to see him worse than us.
But see, I know the point I was going to is when Oprah asked him, did you feel bad when you hounded these people and you cheated them and you knew they were right and you were wrong? And when he said no, and he said that was it's scary. He admitted that it's scary, that he didn't have that awareness that he was doing this utter wrong.
It is the power because you.
He said that. He said it was scary. It's scary now to him that he did all that.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to kill that inner voice, and it's not just him. I just said he's an example.
Yeah.
And I think to keep that inner voice alive is the silence that she's referring to. And that space, creating that space.
So, are we agreed that we can wind up?